Here are 25 of the most commonly missed Utah contractor license questions. Can you get them right? These are the trickiest, most confused rules, and the numbers people most often misremember. Read each question, then answer before the 5-second timer runs out, and then see why. This is exactly how you practice on preppass.org. Let's begin. Question 1. A construction business is organized as a corporation. If the corporation is sued and cannot pay a judgment, what is generally at risk? A. The personal homes and bank accounts of every shareholder. B. The personal assets of the highest paid officer only. C. The assets owned by the corporation itself, not the shareholder's personal assets. D. A nothing, because corporations cannot be sued. The correct answer is C. A corporation is a separate legal entity from its owners, shareholders. This separation creates limited liability. Creditors and judgments generally reach only the assets the corporation owns, and shareholders risk losing only what they invested, not their personal homes or savings. That protection can be lost only in unusual cases such as fraud or piercing the corporate veil. Question 2. In a general partnership, how are the general partners liable for the debts of the business? A. Only up to the amount each partner originally invested. B. Personally and jointly liable for all partnership debts. C. Not liable at all, because the partnership pays its own debts. D. Liable only for debts they personally signed for. The correct answer is B. A general partnership does not shield its owners. Each general partner has unlimited personal liability and is jointly liable for the partnership's debts and obligations. A creditor can pursue any partner's personal assets. This unlimited exposure is a key reason many contractors instead form an LLC or corporation, which provide limited liability. Question 3. Which statement best describes a limited liability company, LLC, for a contracting business? A. It gives owners limited liability while normally allowing profits to pass through to owners' personal tax returns. B. It requires the business to pay corporate income tax and forbids pass-through taxation. C. It makes every member personally liable for all company debts. D. It can be owned by only one person and never by a group. The correct answer is A. An LLC combines the liability protection of a corporation with the tax flexibility of a partnership. Members are generally shielded from personal liability for business debts, and by default the LLC's profits and losses pass through to the members' individual tax returns, avoiding the double taxation of a standard C corporation. An LLC may have one member or many. Question 4. A contractor's total direct cost for a job is $18,000. The contractor adds a 15% markup to cover overhead and profit. What is the bid price? A. $18,150. B. $18,270. C. $20,700. D. $21,150. The correct answer is C. A markup is a percentage added on top of cost. Multiply the cost by 1 plus markup $18,000 x 1.15 equals $20,700. The markup dollars are $18,000 x 0.15 equals $2,700, which is added to the $18,000 cost to reach the bid price. Markup covers both company overhead and profit. Question 5. A job costs the contractor $8,000. The contractor wants a 20% gross profit margin, profit as a percentage of the selling price. What must the selling price be? A. $9,600. B. $10,000. C. $9,800. D. $10,400. The correct answer is B. Margin is measured against the selling price, not the cost, so you cannot simply add 20% to cost. Price equals cost slash 1 margin equals $8,000 slash 1 to 0.20 equals $8,000 slash 0.80 equals $10,000. Check. Profit is $2,000, and $2,000 slash $10,000 equals 20% margin. Adding 20% to cost, $9,600, would only give a 16.7% margin, a common and costly estimating error. Question 6. How many cubic yards of concrete are needed for a slab 27 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 4 inches thick? At 3.3 cubic yards. B. 6.7 cubic yards. C. 8.5 cubic yards. D. 10 cubic yards. The correct answer is D. First, convert thickness to feet. 4 in/12 is equal to 0.3333 feet. Volume in cubic feet is equal to 27 times 30 times 0.3333 equals 270 cubic feet. Convert to cubic yards by dividing by 27. There are 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard. 270 divided by 27 is equal to 10 cubic yards. Getting units consistent, feet for all three dimensions, is the key step. Question 7. The owner asks the contractor to add a bathroom that was not in the original signed contract. What is the correct way to authorize and price this added work? A. A written change order signed by both parties before the work proceeds. B. A verbal go-ahead with no documentation. C. An adjustment made quietly on the final invoice. D. A new lawsuit filed against the owner. The correct answer is A. A change order is a written amendment that documents a modification to the scope, price, or schedule and is signed by both parties. Handling changes in writing before performing the work protects the contractor's right to be paid for the extra work and prevents disputes about what was authorized. Relying on verbal approvals is a leading cause of payment disputes. Question 8. Under the statute of frauds, which of the following is generally required to be in writing to be enforceable? A. A 1-hour verbal agreement to sweep a job site. B. A casual promise to lend a friend a hammer. C. An agreement to buy lunch for the crew. D. A contract for the sale of land or an interest in real property. The correct answer is D. The statute of frauds requires certain categories of contracts to be in writing and signed to be enforceable, most notably contracts for the sale of land or interests in real property, and agreements that cannot be performed within 1 year. This is why construction and real property agreements are documented in writing. Minor, short, everyday arrangements are not covered. Question 9. In a critical path method, CPM, schedule, the critical path is A. The path with the most expensive activities. B. The longest sequence of dependent activities, which determines the shortest possible project duration. C. The path that uses the newest equipment. D. Any path that has the most float. The correct answer is B. The critical path is the longest chain of dependent activities through the network. Because it is the longest path, it sets the minimum time in which the whole project can finish. Activities on the critical path have zero float, delaying any one of them delays the entire project. It is about time and dependency, not cost or equipment. Question 10. Float, also called slack, for a scheduled activity means A. The amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the project's completion date. B. The amount of money left in the activity's budget. C. The number of extra workers assigned to the activity. D. The percentage of the activity that is already complete. The correct answer is a float. Slack is the scheduling flexibility of an activity, how long it can slip before it pushes out the project finish date. Activities on the critical path have zero float. Understanding float lets a manager shift non-critical work and reallocate crews without harming the overall completion date. It is a measure of time flexibility, not money or manpower. Question 11. During construction, the contractor finds the plans and specifications conflict and needs clarification from the architect. The standard document used to formally ask this question is A. Certificate of occupancy. B. Lien waiver. C. Request for information, RFI. D. A notice to proceed. The correct answer is C. A request for information, RFI, is the formal, written channel a contractor uses to ask the design team to clarify or resolve gaps, conflicts, or ambiguities in the drawings and specifications. Documenting questions and answers through RFIs creates a paper trail, avoids guesswork, and supports later claims if the answer changes the cost or schedule. Question 12. What is the primary purpose of a Gantt bar chart on a construction project? A. To calculate payroll taxes for each employee. B. To show project activities as bars along a timeline so start dates, durations, and overlaps are easy to see. C. To record the exact chemical composition of the concrete. D. To replace the need for any building permits. The correct answer is B. A Gantt chart displays each task as a horizontal bar positioned and sized along a time axis, making it easy to communicate when activities start and finish, how long they take, and where they overlap. It is a scheduling and communication tool. It does not perform payroll, material testing, or permitting functions. Question 13. A contracting company has current assets of $240,000 and current liabilities of $120,000. What is its current ratio? A. 0.5 to 1. B. 1.2 to 1. C. 2.0 to 1. D. 12 to 1. The correct answer is C. Current ratio equals current assets slash current liabilities equals $240,000 slash $120,000 equals 2.0. A ratio of 2.0 means the company has $2 of short-term assets for every $1 of short-term debt, which generally indicates healthy short-term liquidity. Sureties and lenders watch this ratio closely. A ratio below 1.0 signals the company may struggle to pay near-term obligations. Question 14. Working capital is calculated as A. Current assets minus current liabilities. B. Total revenue minus total expenses for the year. C. The value of all equipment the company owns. D. The owner's original cash investment. The correct answer is A. Working capital equals current assets, current liabilities. It measures the short-term funds available to run daily operations, buy materials, meet payroll, and absorb delays before receivables come in. Positive working capital is essential in construction because contractors often pay costs long before the owner pays them. It is different from annual net profit and from equipment value. Question 15. Under the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, a covered non-exempt employee must generally be paid overtime for hours worked beyond A. 8 hours in a single day, in every state. B. 35 hours in a week. C. 40 hours in a workweek, at 1.5 times the regular rate. D. 60 hours in a week, at the regular rate. The correct answer is C. The FLSA sets the federal overtime rule. Covered non-exempt employees must receive at least 1.5 times their regular rate for hours worked over 40 in a workweek. The federal standard is weekly, not daily. Some states add their own daily overtime rules, but the nationwide FLSA baseline is the 40-hour workweek. Misclassifying workers to dodge overtime is a common and costly violation. Question 16. What is the purpose of Form I-9 that a contractor completes for each new hire? A. To calculate the employee's overtime rate. B. To register the employee with the local building department. C. To order the employee's personal protective equipment. D. To verify the employee's identity and legal authorization to work in the United States. The correct answer is D. The federal Form I-9 is used to verify each new employee's identity and their authorization to work in the United States, as required by immigration law. Employers must complete and retain an I-9 for every employee and review acceptable documents. It is separate from tax forms, like the W-4, and from any safety, permitting, or payroll rate functions. Question 17. A standard C corporation is often described as facing double taxation. What does that mean? A. The corporation must pay its state and federal taxes twice each year. B. The corporation pays income tax on its profits, and shareholders again pay tax on dividends they receive. C. Every shareholder must file 2 separate personal tax returns. D. The business is taxed once when formed and once when dissolved. The correct answer is B. Double taxation refers to profits being taxed at 2 levels. First, the C corporation pays corporate income tax on its earnings. Then shareholders pay personal income tax on any dividends distributed to them. Owners often avoid this by electing S corporation status or forming an LLC, both of which allow profits to pass through and be taxed only once on the owner's personal returns. Question 18. In many contracting businesses, a qualifying individual or qualifier is required. What is that person's role? A person with the required experience and passing exam score who stands behind the company's license and technical competence. B. The company's largest outside investor. C. The bank officer who approves the company's loans. D. A government employee who inspects each finished job. The correct answer is A. A qualifying individual, qualifier, is the person who demonstrates the experience and passes the licensing exam, providing the technical competence that supports the company's contractor license. The qualifier is generally an owner, officer, or a responsible managing employee who is actively involved in the business, ensuring a knowledgeable person stands behind the licensed work. Question 19. A wall is 40 feet long and 8 feet high. How many 4-foot x 8-foot sheets of drywall are needed to cover one side, before adding any waste factor? A. 8 sheets. B. 10 sheets. C. 12 sheets. D. 16 sheets. The correct answer is B. First, find the wall area. 40 foot x 8 feet equals 320 square feet. Each drywall sheet covers 4 foot x 8 feet equals 32 square feet. Divide, 320 divided by 32 is equal to 10 sheets. In practice, an estimator adds a waste factor for cuts and breakage, but the base quantity is 10 sheets. Getting area and sheet coverage in the same units is the key step. Question 20. In estimating, what is a quantity takeoff? A. The profit removed from a bid to win the job. B. A discount a supplier takes off the material price. C. Measuring and counting the materials and units of work required from the plans and specifications. D. The final step of loading materials onto the truck. The correct answer is C. A quantity takeoff is the process of reviewing the drawings and specifications and measuring or counting every item of material and unit of work needed, cubic yards of concrete, squares of roofing, linear feet of pipe, and so on. It is the foundation of an accurate estimate. Once quantities are known, the estimator applies unit costs for labor and materials to build the total price. Question 21. A contractor pays a carpenter a base wage of $30 per hour, but the true cost per hour with taxes, insurance, and benefits is $42. The $42 figure is called the A. Retail labor rate, B. Burdened, fully loaded labor rate, C. Prevailing wage, D. Overtime premium. The correct answer is B. The burdened, or fully loaded, labor rate includes the base wage plus all the added costs of employing the worker, payroll taxes, workers' compensation and liability insurance, and benefits. Estimating with only the base wage badly understates cost. Using the burdened rate ensures the estimate captures what the labor actually costs the company, which is essential to bidding profitably. Question 22. One roofing square equals how many square feet of roof area? A. 10 square feet. B. 50 square feet. C. 100 square feet. D. 1,000 square feet. The correct answer is C. In roofing, 1 square is a standard unit equal to 100 square feet of roof surface. If a roof measures 2,400 square feet, it is 24 squares. Roofing materials and labor are commonly priced per square, so converting the measured area into squares, area divided by 100, is a routine and frequently tested estimating step. Question 23. A contractor's annual overhead is $120,000 and they expect to do $1 million in direct job costs this year. What overhead markup percentage must be added to each job's costs just to recover overhead? A. 12%. B. 8.3%. C. 20%. D. 1.2%. The correct answer is A. To recover overhead, spread it across the year's direct costs. $120,000/$1 million equals 0.12, or 12%. So the contractor must add at least 12% to each job's direct cost just to break even on overhead. Profit must be added on top of that. Setting markup below the overhead recovery rate is a classic way a busy company still loses money. Question 24. What is consideration in contract law? A. The politeness the parties show one another during negotiations. B. Something of value that each party gives or promises in exchange for the other's promise. C. The amount of time the parties take to think before signing. D. A notary's review of the signatures. The correct answer is B. Consideration is the bargain for exchange of value that makes a promise legally binding. For example, the contractor promises to build, and the owner promises to pay money. Each side must give something of value. Without consideration, a promise is generally just a gift and is not an enforceable contract. It is a core element required for a valid contract. Question 25. The punch list near the end of a project is A. A list of workers still owed wages. B. The schedule of upcoming inspections. C. A record of all change orders. D. A list of small remaining items to correct or complete before final acceptance. The correct answer is D. A punch list is the itemized list of minor deficiencies and unfinished details, touch-up paint, a missing cover plate, an adjustment to a door, that must be corrected before the work is finally accepted and final payment, including retainage, is released. It is generated at substantial completion, when the project is usable but not yet 100% finished, and it defines the last work owed. Those are 25 of the most commonly missed Utah contractor questions. This is exactly how you practice on preppass.org. Read, guess before the timer, then see why. The full free question bank for your exam is there. Just search PrepPass plus your exam. Good luck on your exam.